I got a song, I ain't got no melody. I belted, pivoting for my next lap. The sputtering roar of the neglected cub cadet drowned both nature and the relatively sparse human activity in our outdated patch of suburban Millington on a Tuesday afternoon. Mowing was one of those few times I could give myself wholly unto song, and I clung to the view that Billy Preston was too cool to permit heatstroke. Thanks to Al Gore, it was 91 degrees this fine May Tuesday with rain and high winds and possibly hail the size of a Chicago meatball and maybe firestorms and volcanic activity if central Illinois was feeling especially horny. I got a story, ain't got no morale, I proclaimed as I began the next, incrementally shorter trapezoid, wiping away the sweat that had accumulated at the brim of the ludicrous safari beekeeper's hat Sarah had pushed on me so I wouldn't get melanoma if the sunstroke didn't erase my ability to calculate pi to 3 places. It truly was a precipitously slippery slope. I gotta dance, I ain't got no steps, no, I sang as I rounded the last curve. So far, so good. I finished the last strip before I reached the bridge, which was mainly just a lot of harmonica. So, a voice called from across the street. Did it? I turned instinctively. Dennis Weston was sitting on his stoop, using his hedge trimmer as an armrest, grinning broadly. Did what? It. Did it fly high, like a bird up in the sky? I dropped the grass bag. How did you hear that? Hell, you were Liza Minnelli ing it all over the place. Interesting reference for a gym teacher. I'm nothing if not eclectic. Besides, you can only come off so macho screaming at third graders to climb a damn rope. Geez, you guys still do that? Lawsuit waiting to happen. So, you got a dinner show? Beth loves the Four Seasons. Camila Cabella going for a younger, post-rope crowd. You want to heckle while I trim around the patio? No, I enjoyed it, Dennis said. It was a nice change up from the Katy Perry last week. Yeah, we had Ella the weekend before, and she's transitioned from Frozen to female empowerment ballads. You know, I don't even know how Preston got in my head. I hadn't heard it in years. Well, you do dance to a different beat. What we like about you, Liza. Dennis hefted his trimmer and went off to scissor hands his rather unimaginative topiary, humming Let It Go. I wrestled the bag back onto the mower. Havana, ooh-na-na, da-da-da-da-da-da, Havana, ooh-na-na, I began to croon. Shit. Will it go round in circles? Will it fly high like a bird up in the sky? I nearly collided with a neighborhood watch sign a neighborhood too apathetic to work up a watch had neglected to take down 10 years ago. Dodge, Vera grunted, her love language. Bernie gave me a baleful dachshund stare, but his piggy tail was going. I righted the Schwinn and engaged the kickstand. Bernie flopped in the adjacent yard in a way I hoped never to see his political namesake replicate, and I rubbed his pink belly. Bernie was possibly the fourth in a line of rotund wiener dogs Vera dedicated to her progressive icons. God save the Republican canvasser or cold-calling thumper who darkened her dominion. She fed unwanted solicitors Oreos and Folgers instead of a face full of doors, fattening them for extended socio-political cannibalization designed to make them doubt the very existence of a merciful God. Vera was half-blind following a series of cataract procedures. But twice a day, she stumped and Bernie waddled through the hood. More than once, Sarah staged a phony household disaster to terminate our Sunset driveway debates. After gauging whether I believed this latest shit today and invoking her customary and free-floating thorny doom on Marjorie and Matt and the Speaker and Ron and Florida as a collective entity, I flailed to my feet. Hey, that'll sound weird, but what you were singing when I rode up. Vera's brow rose behind her Roy Orbison shades. I was singing? Will it go round in circles? Billy Preston. Yeah. Guess it's been kinda stuck in my head the last week. No idea why. More of an Edwin Starr/Marvin fan back in the day. I've been earwigging it, too. Earwigging? You know, you get a tune in your brain, and it just won't go away? I think it came from the Night Gallery, you know, Rod Serling? The one with Lawrence Harvey? Earwig burrows into his brain, eats its way across to the other ear? Never cared for him, Vera said. Harvey or Sarling, I did not inquire. But I get the concept. That rat bastard ex of mine loved war movies. If I ever hear the Ballad of the Green Berets, it pisses me off 3 times over at Nixon, John Wayne, and fucking Larry. But then I find myself humming it at the Kroger's or bingo. Try to picture Vera even playing bingo with the blue hairs. Wait a second. You walked Bernie past the house last night? She considered. Yeah. I even saw you, but you were trying to chase water bottles down the driveway, and I didn't want to interrupt the fun. Hers or mine, I did not inquire. Shrink wrap, my ass. But the mystery is solved. Dodge, Vera nodded. Come on, Duke. Duke, for Dukakis, was 2 wieners back. Hey, Bernie, haul ass, she then growled affectionately. Bernie might survive her, for a change. I pedaled off pensively. Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, I began as I coasted down University. Shit. For the second time that evening, I nearly took up the neighborhood watch sign as a black blur sped past almost in the other lane. Instead, I went over the handlebars into a reasonably soft barberry bush. As I brushed vegetation from my best Smoky Bear tee and flexed my bloody knee, I inspected the bike. It had fared much better than me, but the Gems market bag was leaking Thomas's bagels and the egg beaters I had hoped to introduce to some chorizo tomorrow. The body was about 20 feet away. I instinctively dropped to the wrong knee and nervously checked for a pulse. I recognized the dead guy as a kid I'd seen skateboarding around the neighborhood. There was very little blood beyond an angry body-length scrape. What looked like a smashed electronic device was just beyond the teen's outstretched left hand. I surveyed the area as a few of the neighbors sprinted toward us. Then I spotted the kid's board, about 30 feet from its owner, where mass and momentum and some reckless or homicidal asshole had propelled it. You're Jessica Fletcher, Detective Curtis Meade indicted. He eyed the wreckage that was me. Not as put together, of course. No idea who the kid was, or the driver. Nice enough kid, didn't act like the neighborhood was his skate park. Driver, I got no idea. About dinner time in these parts, so I don't know who else might have seen anything. Curtis nodded toward the loosely collected throng around the police tarp. Vera and Bernie stood at the periphery, and a young woman in a translucent beach cover-up peeked from over the back gate of the split level next to the mangled barberry. Curtis and I quickly averted. Well, your buddy Weston eyed him as an old student of his, Jarrett Lechner, who lives 2 blocks over. That ring any bells? Not a chime. Hey, you guys did see that smashed-up gizmo next to Lechner? Chris collected the pieces for possible prints. You're kinda a techie, know what it might have been? Gray plastic casing, motherboard crushed to shit. Thought I saw a silvery knob sorta thingy. Oh, and some shattered glass. Thanks, Elon. So, what, maybe whatever the thing has had a screen or a display. Wasn't any iPad I ever saw. Letters DJ on a piece of the case. Kid maybe do any musical gigs? The folks will have to tell me. Lechner, I chewed. Dad runs a plumbing company, always has that sky blue van in the driveway, fixed out toilet a while back. Mom's a realtor, I think. As if on cue, a sky blue panel van slanted into the curb caddy corner from us, and a couple leaped from the cab. "Fuck," Curtis muttered softly, departing with an absent wave. I turned to find Elaine surveying the remains of her barberry bush. WNBA tall, expertly mussed white hair like she was a Chico's model headed for the wine club, incongruously leathery hands like Jane Goodall had come through on the transplant. Elaine had earned the leather. Her yard was a virtual prairie or jungle, depending on the given beholder, and various signs were embedded in the carefully choreographed tangle of reeds and weeds and thistles and tulips and sunflowers, designating her plot as an official monarch pollination station and Elaine as a master gardener. She'd shown me a detailed map of her garden one time. "Sorry?" I suggested. Elaine looked up and surveyed me clinically. "You have mud on your face," she advised. "And your knee is a disaster. I have some antiseptic. Come on in." "Thanks, but Sarah prefers to minister to me herself." She finds the wincing reassuring.